Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to this meeting of the Cromwell Board of Education. Call it to order at 7:01 p.m. Lisa, would you please take roll call?
Mrs. Cantwell? Here. Mrs. Cloutier? Here. Ms. Franklin? Here. Ms. Kelleher?
Here.
Mrs. Lamberson? Here. Mrs. Post? Here. Mrs. Russ? Here. Mr. Schuman? Here. Mr. Zabrowski? Here. Dr. Baxter? Here. Student Representative Olivia Polkowski? Here. Julia Bay Muradova? Here. Jillian Morgan? Here. Jack Drew? Here. And do I have any members of the town manager's office, town council, board of finance?
I don't see any. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. And just before we begin this meeting tonight, I'd like to start with a moment of silence for a former board member. Her name is Gaia McDermott, and she served prior to, I believe, any of us being on the board, but sadly she did pass away in April. She served a couple of years on our board, so if we could just take a moment and remember Gaia. Thank you all very much. Okay, approval of agenda, additions, deletions, and chair review of agenda highlights. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? I have no additions or deletions unless you have any, Dr. Macri. Is there a motion to approve the agenda by Jen? Second by Alan. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. We have a lot of celebrating, it looks like, this evening on our agenda, which is always nice. So with that, we will begin with celebrating our faculty and staff at ECS. So if Mrs. Zatuno would be able to come up and introduce your celebration, that would be great.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I have the pleasure of celebrating staff, and I'm going to ask Peggy Lear to come on up. Peggy is our art teacher. She is amazing. She has the ability to connect with all our students and allows them to find their artistic sides. She goes above and beyond in her classroom, not only to share her love for art, but her love for all of her students. Whether it's kindergarten learning about Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, or working with second graders learning about collages inspired by Romaner Berdin, who is best known for collages created from paper, magazines, clippings, and fabric. Mrs. Lear embraces her practice every day with all of her students. Now, the art show this year, no lie, because we had a clicker and we counted, had almost 1,000 people. That tells a lot for the art of our students and for Mrs. Lear's work. We're very lucky to have such a dedicated art teacher that embraces all aspects of art, teaching, and most importantly, connecting with our children. So now we're celebrating Mrs. Lear.
Mrs. Lear, would you like to say a few words?
That was very nice of you. Thank you. I do love my job, and I spoke years ago when my position was being cut that Cromwell was my unicorn because I wanted to teach K through 2, and I taught at the Cromwell Parks and Rec for years. And when this opened, I was like, I want to work there. I want that to be my job. And finally, it happened. So I've been here for quite a while. I actually had Drew and Julianne, one of my very first years here. I was asked to pick 2 students to celebrate. One of them is here, Caleb Locker. Come on up, Caleb. Caleb is in kindergarten. This is one of his artworks here with the fox, and he also has, get your pot. He also has his pinch pot. It was white model magic, and we colored it with markers, and then he pinched it into a pot. Can you show everybody? There you go. And Kayleen wasn't able to come, but she is fabulous. And these are 2 of her pictures with the cats and the landscape on the bottom. Even though she's not here, I'd like to say something about both of them. Caleb and Kayleen have these gigantic imaginations that are just waiting to explode when they come to art, whether it's drawing or painting or doing clay. They're always engaged. They're never afraid to ask me a question, and they always push above and beyond my expectations. They never argue when I say, put down that marker and you draw with pencil first. Right, Caleb? But mostly, Caleb and Kayleen exemplified the motto of my art room, that art doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing, because everybody makes art in their own way. Thank you. Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you. Nice job, Caleb. We love your pinch pot. It looks like you found another purpose for it as a hat. And Mrs. Lair, we're so thankful to have you. I know that when you came here, you did call Cromwell your unicorn position. It's so nice to have teachers who truly love what they do in our district. So thank you. Okay, moving on to, did you get the photo apps that you needed, everyone? Did they take pictures? Let's see. Thank you. All right, Dr. Macri, do you have any correspondence to share? No. Okay. Public comments. Before I read the rules, is there anyone here for public comments this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the report from our student representatives. And who would like to go first? You start with the high school, or you want to defer to the middle school? Okay.
The softball team lost their first 2 games so far this season. The first game was a loss to Berlin, 15-1, and the second game was a loss by 1 run, 6-5. The team is improving from game to game, and I'm excited to play Berlin today. The baseball team started with 3 wins. Now they have 4. They just won their 4th game this afternoon. The first game, they defeated Berlin, Mercy 7-0. Evan Ukall pitched a no-hitter to win the game. Yesterday, they beat Berlin 10-8 in an extra inning, and the team has 7 games left in the season. The track team is 2-1. We beat Rocky Hill and Ram. It was close, but we did lose to Beeman. 27 athletes have qualified for the states in Manchester, which is a record for CMS, and we are improving every day and trying to improve to get the states.
This year, Art Club worked on designing and creating 2 large murals to add color and vibrancy to walls of CMS. Despite having twice as many murals as last year, students stepped up and are nearing completion of 2 collaborative designs and positive messages. One mural features flowers encased in light bulb that focuses on positive growth, while the other celebrates creativity. Students have done a fantastic job so far working together. Some students also took it upon themselves to touch up murals from previous years that required maintenance, and have done a fantastic job bringing new life to old work of art. Next year, we look forward to continuing to add color and positivity to the hallways of CMS.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Any questions for our CMS reps? No? Okay. Thank you. And we'll move on to the high school. Olivia?
For general announcements, it was the annual Poem in a Pocket where students from ECS visited CHS to read the poems to our students. It was very cute and all the high school students loved it. Concert choir, concert band, select choir, and jazz band came in first place with an excellent rating at Disney World. Coach Pannone is a finalist for the National High School Athletic Coaches Association Coach of the Year for 2023. Coach Sarnacki, known as B, is representing the state of Connecticut, where she will be inducted into the National Coaches Hall of Fame. Prom took place at the AquaTurf on Saturday, May 6, 6:30 to 10:30. Izzy Coy and Jack Wise were honored as high school student scholar athletes at the CIC Scholar Athlete Banquet this past Sunday, and State Representative Christy Carpino came to CHS and presented Miss Nelson and Mr. Schmidt with a citation for their accomplishments.
Great. Thank you.
The baseball team played against North Branford yesterday and lost 9-8. The boys and girls outdoor track team had a meet yesterday at home. The girls and boys tennis team played Westbrook yesterday and lost. However, the girls team has had a good season. The softball team played against North Branford yesterday and lost 2-0. The girls lacrosse team played against Watertown and lost 12-18. The boys lacrosse team plays against Old Lyme today, and the golf team plays against North Branford today.
All right, thank you. Any questions for our high school representatives? All right, congratulations to all of our coaches, athletes, and our musicians. A lot to celebrate. All right, next is reports of liaisons from the Town Council, Board of Finance, Cromwell Middle School Building Committee, Fields Committee. I believe that's all. Don't think anyone is here from Town Council or Board of Finance, so I just wanted to mention that the referendum did pass. General budget passed, Board of Education budget passed as well. And the Building Committee, we don't have a report from them. We're in our quiet period, but there is another referendum on May 18th, and that will be for the difference for the rest of the project. So May 18th. And there are a lot of notifications on Facebook to remind people of that, along with some information. Catherine, would you like to go over the fields?
So the field committee met last week, and we had Tony Salvatore, our town manager, Mayor Fortenbach, and we also had our town engineer. Thank you. And they had met with Kelly Maher, our athletic director, to go through their plans for the fields and what needed to be changed, because we weren't meeting all the requirements and there were some safety concerns and issues. We didn't have enough seating, we didn't have enough storage space or anything, but we've come up with a better plan that they revised, and it looks good. So now we're just waiting for the next steps through the town. So we're kind of at a holding, but we also were double checking to make sure that we hit all the points that are needed for our NEASC accreditation. So that's about it.
All right. Thank you, and thanks to all for sitting on that committee. Superintendent's updates and responses to Board of Ed comments and action items from prior meeting. Do we have anything?
I have a few.
Okay.
But Olivia and Julia did a really good job, so I can cut it down because they made a lot of the announcement. So congratulations to the people that you mentioned, Mr. Coach Panone and Ms. Arnacki. It's so exciting to be recognized as a national Coach of the Year. We both know both of them well, and they definitely give 100% to our students all the time. So best of wishes to them. So, okay. End of year celebrations are on their way. They're in the newsletters. Graduation is still steadfast June 14th. We'll hope for nice weather. Last day of school is the 15th, and for CMS it's the 16th. The 15th and the 16th will be half days. Let's see what else. Budget cuts. We are constantly reviewing the budget for this year and for next year. Looking to where can we make those cuts so that we have that $200,000 that we have to make up. It looks good as far as not having to cut too much staff. The couple positions that we talked about that we knew we were cutting, we are still looking for grants for, and I'm so proud to say our right now, for our AP position at the middle school, we have over 100 applications. We have over 130 applications for a grade 3 position. And we have about 20 applications for a library media specialist, which is unheard of. So as much as there's a teacher shortage and an administrator shortage, it's not happening here in Cromwell. People still want to work here. So it was great news. Michelle and I were just so excited when we kept seeing them pop up. So we'll continue to post things. I was waiting for numbers to post another position at WIS, but the enrollment numbers are not going down. In fact, they're going a little bit up. So we will need our 2 teachers, which we thought we might be able to hold on for a year. Otherwise, class size will be too big. So those will. The second one was posted, and we, Mr. Butwell, I believe, spoke with Mr. Morrow today about posting the second position. So we are in good standing there. Make sure I don't miss anything. I talked about hiring. Okay. So a very special week, and it's so difficult because it's called Teacher Appreciation Week. But we all know that it's educator, all of us in the building matter. It takes a village to raise a child, and it's Nurses Day, and it was Lunch Hero Day, and Paraprofessional and Administrative Assistance Day. Everyone is so important. So I look at this week as a week to celebrate everyone, because without everybody, our students wouldn't be getting what they need. And we really have an awesome group of dedicated people dedicated to our students. So happy appreciation. I tried to put it out there as we're celebrating you, meaning every single one of you that tries to make our students' lives better every single day. So that's this week. Then we also had our Teachers of the Year, and our Teachers of the Year at each building are Mrs. Ann Sisti at ECS, Mrs. Julie Calican at WIS, Mr. Stephen St. Hodge at CMS, and Mr. Ken Borton at CHS. We had interviews last week, and we made a decision. It was really, really hard. It always is really hard, and I kind of look at it, as I said, as the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be hard, right? It's supposed to be a hard game. These are our MVPs. And it is my distinct honor and pleasure to let you know that our district teacher of the year is Mr. Stephen St. Ange, who just happens to be here tonight. But we will be celebrating him in the future. I cannot say enough about Mr. St. Ange. It's interesting, right? I've been here, this is my 4th year, and the teachers of the year, I got to meet them rather quickly. And it's because of their passion that they bring to the table. And so Mr. St. Ange, for those of you who haven't had him as a teacher or have had kids that have had him, you just realize what a special person he is. And he came right out and said in his interview, he really never really knew exactly what he wanted to do. And I won't ruin his speech because he's going to have to give it. And how he came to realizing that he belonged and he wanted to be a teacher. What I love about Mr. St. Ange is it's kids first all the time, you as people, and then his content. And then he puts the two together. He wants to be remembered as a place where kids felt accepted for who they were and loved. So interestingly enough, it was wonderful. And of course, we all feel like we're going to cry at the end of each interview. But I haven't told Mr. St. Ange, so I figured I'd tell him tonight. On Friday, we were at a Dismantling Racism conference that we've been going to as a district. Our students presented at the high school, and they did a phenomenal job with courageous conversations that we're having. And there were 550 adults there, very few students presenting across the state of Connecticut, and we had a group of students presenting, and let me tell you, did they make us proud. Incredibly proud, along with Mrs. Williams and Mr. Kuckel. These kids just knocked it out of the park. I start there because one student talked about she wasn't really sure how she fit in or where she fit in, and how she really wants to make a difference, but she knows she needs to find allies and adults and helping her make a difference and wanting her voice to be heard. And her voice is so powerful. And she felt like she was at some point crawling out of her skin, and she wanted to do stuff with the Unity Club. And she went to the people that she trusts, and I believe there might both be here, Mrs. Williams and Mr. St. Ange. And in this situation, she went to Mr. St. Ange, and she said, I really want to start a Unity Club at the middle school. And Mr. St. Ange was like, okay, when? And she talked about him to all these strangers about what it meant to her as a student to feel heard from a teacher about something that she didn't know was going to be really accepted and wanted. But Mr. St. Ange listened to her, and she'll never forget that. She'll carry that with her for the rest of her life. So that's how we all want to be remembered as educators, right? Every single one of us at that conference. Little Katie came up to me. She's 33 years old, married, has a baby, and she's a teacher. She was my 4th grade student. I remember her sitting in front of me in North Haven with her little bangs in her dress, ready to go. And she's an English teacher. And she came up and she goes like, I think you were my teacher. I'm like, Katie! She looks exactly the same. That's what we all want. We just want to be remembered for caring about our students and loving them. Yes, we want them to learn all the other stuff, and yes, we have to do well on tests, but we want them to feel loved and accepted, and that's exactly what Mr. St. Ange does. So a huge congratulations to Mr. St. Ange for everything that he does. The admiration that our students have for him is just unbelievable, and I just am so excited that he's going to be representing us at this state, because he told me he was going to, and that he was going to win, so I believe him, because I don't like to lose. All of you know how I am, so get on it, Mr. Start writing your essays now. So, yeah, I thought it was too. What is it called? Connecticut Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to Mr. St. Ange. And we will have a time where we celebrate him and we bring him up and everything else, but he happens to be here tonight, so I thought I would talk about him a little bit. And that is pretty much it. Everything else has been in your updates. If you have any questions about the updates, I've been saying to you, this is going to be a short update because we have a board meeting, and then it's really not, because I just have so much to share with you. But it's everything, just letting you know what's going on with all the activities. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're on track to finish strong.
Okay. Are there any questions for Dr. Macri? No? Okay. And certainly congratulations to Mr. St. Ange on behalf of the board. We look forward to seeing what you do at States or whatever you call it. All right, we'll move on to presentations and reports of administration, the 2022-2023 budget update, reference A in your packet. And Ms. Burke, if you'd like to come up, in case there are any questions, please do so. Did you want to give an overview or just take questions? I mean, it's up to you.
It would be very similar to last month.
Okay.
But
Looks
I'm
like
happy
it.
to take questions. Budget's a little bit better. It's improving as we get towards the end. We're going to be closing down spending very soon altogether, just to clean up the POs that we do have outstanding. For example, postage for postage meters and things like that. We'll make sure the schools have what they need to get through their year-end activities. So feeling confident in these numbers as of the end of April, and then we'll be wrapping it up shortly. And I'm really pleased to say that it was a little dicey going through the middle of the year, but we did manage to do everything we can to get it back to where we're comfortable with it, and we can end the year and feel good about the things that we've accomplished.
Okay, are there any questions? Going once, going twice? Okay, thank you. All right, old business, we have none, and under new business, we have the CABE Student Leadership Award presentation. Would that be Mr. Kuckel?
Mr. Kuckel and Ms. Cochiella. We
Okay.
can start with Mr. Kuckel? Barely see you over there.
Okay. So it is my honor to present the CABE Student Leadership Awards for Cromwell High School to seniors Molly Caserta and Thomas Peer. At this time, I would like to call both CHS seniors up to the podium. Okay. Perfect. You're in the right order. Perfect. Okay. So both of our award recipients demonstrate a wide array of leadership skills based on the CABE criteria. They embrace challenges, work collaboratively, have a genuine concern for others, and a willingness to commit to a project. So I'm going to start with Molly Caserta. Mr. LeMay assisted in the nomination of Molly for this award. Molly was a member of the cross-country team. Unfortunately, she was injured her entire junior year, but still didn't miss a practice. When an athlete was crying or upset, she was the first person there to comfort them. She made sure everybody was included in social events, engaged in practice, and felt included. Molly was also in the inaugural group of PE interns this year. According to Mr. LeMay, she was the leader of the group. She coordinated for group pictures with Mr. McGuff and designed and maintained the bulletin board in the gym designated for internship. Molly has also served as a TA, and she plans on being a future educator who will attend UNC Wilmington. Are you still going there? Yeah. Good. And she enjoyed taking small groups. The kids loved having her peer tutor as well. She would often take struggling students and instruct them, remind them to do their homework, and then follow up with them in a study hall. She is a true leader who cares for all people, especially her peers. She has chosen a perfect career path to be an educator, and we are just incredibly proud of Molly and the person that she is when she carries herself in the hallways at CHS. So Molly, congratulations from CABE for this Student Leadership Award. All right. Shake the hand, and then get the letter and the actual. Thank you. All right. Okay. And for our second recipient, Thomas Peer. So Thomas Peer is an active member of the CHS community. As president of the student council, he's in charge of running meetings and coordinating large events. In the summer, he helped run our 9th grade orientation. This fall, he ran our open house, and he's also taken part in many different planning initiatives. I would say, upon reflecting with Thomas, once he was elected student council president, it's almost like you took that transitional phase in terms of, he hadn't assumed office yet, but he grabbed the bull by the horns, and I think you came to my office like the next day, ready to go. Like, all right, this is what we got to do, Mr. Cook. We have to do 1, 2, 3. And Thomas is committed to a project. He's committed to change. And as a senior, he was the student who led the initiative to have seniors paint their parking spaces, which turned out to be a tremendously successful event. And he did all the work. He researched other schools that did it, and he came back with a good plan, and it became a great bonding event for our seniors who participated in that activity. He's also an active leader in the musical production and our student equity committee. He is one of our trained student facilitators who is attempting to lead courageous conversations in the classroom. Thomas is an advocate for our student body, and if he has current concerns, he's never afraid to speak up and do what's right. So, Thomas, congratulations. You're an all-around good person who has a genuine concern for others, and you have helped make Cromwell High School a better place. Congratulations.
Congratulations to both of you. You're both exemplary students,
Absolutely.
role models, and we're very proud of you. If you would like to take a picture.
Absolutely. We'll go. We got the back
You
wall
got
with
the
the
wall, okay.
Cromwell logo back there, and we'll do that. Thank you so much, Ms. Cocciola.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is now my absolute wonderful opportunity to introduce the Cromwell Middle School's students who received the CABE Award for this year. I would love to please have Mia Morrissey come up, as well as Jillian Morgan. So I'll begin with Mia, and this comes from her team of teachers. Every day, Mia comes to school. She models and exemplifies each of the CABE leadership skills, and always with a smile on her face. She's a conscientious student who participates in many different school activities that always include leadership roles. She was the girls' basketball team manager, a role model on the soccer team, and an integral part of the yearbook club. She approaches any challenge with a positive attitude, even when decisions are difficult. Because of her innate sense of caring and her natural diplomacy skills, she's able to work and collaborate with all her peers, teachers, no matter the personality, mindset, or culture. Day in and day out, Mia's growth mindset and consistent "let's do this" demeanor easily makes her qualified for this CABE Award. So congratulations, Mia. And this, my dear, goes to you. Okay, Jillian. All right, we know Jillian, right? And as her teachers collaborated, they were also, it was a great honor to recommend Jillian for this award. She showed an exceptional willingness to take on challenges and to work with others. Within group activities, she set herself apart from her peers, and they use the word as a taskmaster and leader by assigning roles, calling others to focus, and assisting students in need. She always works with struggling students in class. Because of her kindness, focus, and patience, students are able to succeed with her help. She makes certain the students in her group understand the assignment, instead of simply just helping to complete a task, but actually instructs them along. She's well-spoken and mature beyond her years. She was chosen to serve as our 8th grade student council rep for the Board of Ed, and she has shown commitment by consistently attending the board meetings and providing all those valuable updates. And outside of the middle school, she's a dedicated hockey player and runner. She's able to manage all those commitments: hockey, middle school, cross country, her Board of Ed, and all of her academic, and speaks to her work ethic, commitment, and time management skills. And above all, her positive disposition. She positively influences everyone in the 8th grade. So thank you so much, Jillian, for also being another fabulous student. Thank you. Very proud of these two.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
We're so proud of you both, and it's probably pretty hard to do all these things that you're doing in middle school. So it really says something about you both that you're willing to put yourselves out there. I'm sure your teachers truly appreciate having you there to help them with everything. And Jillian, thank you for being here at our board meetings.
Great. And we'll go over there for our photo.
Anyone else? Thank you both. Okay. Moving on to action item B, approval of minutes and motions from our April 18th regular meeting, reference B in your packets. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Catherine, second. Matt, all in favor? Opposed? Abstention from Ms. Lamberson. Okay, minutes are approved. Item C, update and possible action, Cromwell High School Mental Health Awareness Club. And for that, we have Mr. Kuckel, who I believe will be giving an overview. Is that correct? Mental health awareness? No?
Is Miss O'Connor here tonight? Rebecca O'Connor?
Okay, I do have something here from. Did everyone receive a copy? Okay. So we had already approved this a few meetings back, or probably last year actually, as a trial, and you have some information here before you about what they've been doing all along during the trial, and they would like to continue it. So let's see. We would need a motion to just approve the continuation for next year. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, so just by policy, we need to try the, if it's a new club, the activity has to run for a year, and then they have to give us an update, and then you get to decide if you want us to continue it, and then we follow our contract guidelines, and it becomes an official club. So right now, Mrs. O'Connor is asking for this to become a club. I'm just not sure, Mr. Kunkel, and I don't want to put you on the spot, or Mrs. Binghamton, I'm not sure. Do you know, and I may be missing it here, how many students are participating?
It should be. It's not on that form. It should be on the form.
No, it's not on the form of that she turned in, but maybe we can just get that number.
Yeah. It's less than 15. I know that, but I can get the exact number.
Okay, and
Because we don't have to vote on this now.
we are supposed to, but
Could be June?
we could put it off and then have Mrs. O'Connor come, because I really just want you to get the real picture of exactly how it's going, just because we have so many clubs. So is that okay if we table this one with the board, and then we can get more questions answered? Because technically, according to our policy, we're supposed to be able to tell the board the number of students in attendance and the average attendance of at least 10 students, and
Yeah.
then suggestions for next year, which she does have here, the future goals. But only because we all know that we have a budget issue, and we've
That's the
have
Unity
to-
Club one.
Oh, sorry. Right here, sorry. Oh, maybe it is here, hold on.
I
Maybe it's
I didn't see
maybe
it.
it's my fault. Okay, it's not, oh, good, okay. But they're here. Mrs. Tobin and Mr. St. Andre are here to actually talk about the other.
Okay.
So
we'll
it's
table
up to
this
you. I
one.
think probably we'll table it. You have this, you can look it over, and then we'll have Mrs. O'Connor come to the next meeting, or at least give Mr. Kuckel or Mrs. Binghamton the information, and we can share.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah, I would,
So I'll motion
Motion
to
to
table it for a future meeting when we have more information available.
I don't know if we need the motion.
Do we need to do that?
We'll just table it. I think we're okay. All right, so we'll put it on the June meeting?
yes.
Okay. All right, next one up is update and possible action on the Cromwell Middle School Unity Club. And for that, I think we have Mr. St. Ange, okay,
And Mrs. Tobin.
and Mrs. Tobin, okay.
Dr.
Dr.
Tobin.
Tobin.
That's right. Thank you for correcting me, because I don't like it either.
In the sun. I was actually thinking of like introductions that I could do, like a little icebreaker, and then I was gonna say how Mrs. Cogiola didn't actually tell me to keep my speech short, but she literally just told me a minute ago, make sure that you keep your speech short. So I will keep the speech short. Okay.
There's a time coming for you. You're going to have all the
I
time
know.
in the world.
I know. Our interview lasted 45 extra minutes past their deadline, so. I know. I just wrap it up. All right. So Unity Club, we came to you about 3 or 4 months ago, just with our like initial proposal. Club has been quite the success. Dr. Tobin has come and joined me, and like I could not be like happier with a better partner. Like I actually asked the students like, if we were to bring another like person on board, like who do you think would be like a good person that we could bring on board? And like unanimously, it was like Dr. Tobin, and like she has been like an incredible success. We like actually were, thank you. We were actually talking about you in our like last like teacher meeting about just like how fantastic you've been with the students. But anyways, Unity Club. If you want to go ahead. Oh, you're right. We have a clicker. Oh, we're so cool. I know, right? Okay. So these are some of our projects and activities we've done.
Yeah, so,
I think you have to speak into the
do I have to? Okay. All right, well, I got it on here. Yeah, so this just gives you a little overview of what we've done this year for activities with the students, and it's been pretty amazing. I only joined, like Stephen had mentioned, kind of mid-year. I came into the fold, and I've really enjoyed working with the students and loved everything that we've, been doing together. So school-wide activities, we carve out time each week during advisory to do character development and social-emotional learning lessons. And during those advisory periods, the Unity Club actually planned out 4 lessons, school-wide lessons for the entire middle school to learn about and celebrate different figures in Black history. And they did a really nice job. I'm going to give you a little sampling of one of those lessons, what they did. It was really activity-based. Not only were they learning about all of these, different important figures in history, they were also, required to use their collaboration and teamwork skills to work together. So it was really great. Other things that we did throughout the year include coordinating activities to increase awareness during National Bullying Month. So students led some morning announcements, for example, and we had like a day to kind of, celebrate unity. Everybody in this, everybody dressed in orange. Let's see, we collaborated with students from the high school Unity Club, which was nice. About midway through the year, they came down to the middle school and they joined us for some meetings, and it was a nice mentorship type of collaboration. They were giving our students some guidance as to how to, create an agenda and have some goals for the meeting and kind of, organize and focus a little bit. So that was a nice thing that we had done with the high school members of the High School Unity Club. We had 2 bake sales, and the students coordinated all of that. You should have seen them try to figure out how much they were going to pay for cookies and brownies and what they were going to charge. And they came and they made it happen and raised over $440 for future school-wide activities. They're interested in planning some things for next year, which we'll share at the end. They're also interested in a Cromwell closet, creating a Cromwell closet, and they did, in fact, start a website. Mr. St. Ange is going to talk a little bit more about that. We collaborated with the World Language Club at Cromwell Middle School to discuss and create, paint Ukrainian Easter eggs and learn about what we can do to help Ukraine. There is a Love Wins, Mr. St. Ange can talk about, and as well as our CMS Cultural Fair coming up in June. So this just gives you an idea of what those lessons were like that the students created. So this was one of the advisory lessons that the whole school did, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. All the teachers and all the advisory classes had the slides, and they did these activities together at the same time during the week. So this just gives you an idea of what they talked about as a, group in their advisory lessons. So the first activity actually started with some Ziploc baggies that contained cut-up puzzles of paintings by some famous black artists in history, and the students were required with their advisory group to kind of put together all these pieces into 5 different paintings. So they had to collaborate and work together to figure out which pieces went to which painting and put them together. When they completed the puzzle, on the back they learned about the artist. Oh, thank you. Got 2 different slideshows going. So then they learned a little bit of information about that painting and about the artist. And then we kind of competed in a school-wide Kahoot to test our knowledge. So that was kind of a neat activity, and this gives you an idea of those paintings that were used for the activity. Students gave us, had great feedback. The teachers had great feedback. It was very activity-based, which the students loved. And then we did some other activities. So here's a picture of the Halloween dance bake sale that students ran to raise some funds, as well as Mr. St. Ange in the 7th grade created this special museum night at Cromwell Middle School called the Splendors of Africa night. And we did another little bake sale during the evening to raise some more funds. You want to talk a little bit about Cromwell Closet?
Yeah. So I talked about it last time. So essentially, it's the idea that some of our students in need don't have access to available clothing, and so instead of making it like an awkward kind of like needing to ask for help kind of situation, the students are able to access this website and peruse the Cromwell Closet, which is essentially we're using our funds from the bake sale as well as using our lost and found by swapping different schools' lost and founds. So that way it's not the awkward, like, you're wearing my sweater kind of thing, but like it's like a whole different other school, like using their clothing. So that way they can use ours, we can use theirs. That's the closet. All right. So just kind of like looking forward, like our plans, we're going to be looking more heavily into the Cromwell Closet with the other local middle school. We want to plan some more events. So the students are like really into a dance, and it is fun trying to plan a dance for our PTO members. Like y'all know, like it's quite the activity. We have a movie night planned in order to promote. We're doing what's the rocket ship?
The movie?
The NASA one.
They had all kinds of ideas.
Hidden Figures. I figured it out.
Okay.
That one. We, in terms of like our meeting time, so we're bi-monthly meetings, so we're doing 10 to 20 hours, but in actuality, that was our plan time. In actuality, in order to like plan for the events, like we actually are doing more than that with all the different like extra stuff. So we're requesting going to level D throughout the year as needed, which is the 30 to 45 hours.
Any questions about any of the activities or information?
How many involved in that?
So levels fluctuate due to academic probation and sports, which is kind of like the killer. So we're usually averaging like between that 10 to 15 range.
And of that, do many of them come to the meetings, or like how's attendance at the meetings? Because I know there's a lot of other activities going on.
Yeah, the attendance at the meeting, like track has kind of dominated my life personally. And
I would say 10
Yeah.
to 10, 12 consistently at the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, or even sometimes up to 15 depending on the time of year.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Are there any other questions related to this?
So you guys are, of course, because, thank you. And I know how much you do. And I know you guys kind of continue to do everything when you weren't exactly 100% sure about how much you were getting paid, which, by the way, this year was almost nothing for both of them. I want to make that very clear, and they still continue to do it.
Yeah.
I know that. And so when I had to tell Miss Coachella, I'm like, Miss Coachella, we messed up. We didn't really, actually. We just didn't let everybody know. So it's literally pennies that they're doing. this for. So they are asking to increase to a level D. But did you guys look at the new contract? So
No.
okay, it's all right because we changed.
It's not level D.
It's
anymore.
not level
I saw
D.
that at the last
So I'm trying to
meeting.
remember what it is, but it's very aligned with this. And Michelle is, I'm not here, but I am going. Can I? Is it okay if you vote on having it, but just give me just to go back and look at what level D aligns with. So right here at when you got this at the beginning of the year, so there's just a couple things I'm thinking of that we have to do differently as we're tightening this up. The way we found out this was a little bit of a mess in the past because we haven't had too many clubs come forward. So now we have different paperwork. We worked on it, myself, Mr. Morrow, Dr. McLean, and we updated this paperwork so that it actually makes more sense for you when you get it. So you got this at the beginning of the year. You didn't get it this time. They give, now we have Form A and Form B, so you'll get two different forms when it comes in. You'll never have this problem again. I can pass these around so you kind of triggers your memory. Group 5. And so can you tell me, Group 5, okay, that's what we thought, right? Okay, so Group 5, sorry, thanks for
Thank
looking for
you.
that.
Sorry, I was looking at last year.
No, it's okay. So when you voted on the proposal for the stipends we changed everything. And then we updated these forms so that they make sense to you when a club comes forward. And in the past, I don't even know if clubs even came forward and gave you a presentation, but those are our procedures and processes. Yeah, so now, I like to try to follow the rules.
But can I ask a question? I mean, the only thing we have here is whether or not to approve the club, not where it is. Like, we don't know what level it is.
No, I know, we give you, when they start this, so the
first meeting they had?
yes, when you got this the first.
There was an estimate
There
of
was
what
an
it would
estimate
be,
of where
yeah.
they thought
Right.
it would land. We then take their word for it. That's what they're going to try to get, how many kids are going to get to participate, how many hours it's going to take. And then we see where we land. So they're now, the amount of work they've done, which I'm positive of, is way more than what they were proposing at the beginning as a B. So they're asking for a D.
Yeah. How come we don't get that when we go to approve the club, like at this point for next year?
Just because it was never part of it. It was never part of the
Because we saw it
paperwork.
originally and then it was
And
changed.
right. It's now I'm changing.
Yeah, like
the
even
process,
now,
so-
even if we didn't change it, I wouldn't remember what we
No,
had
exactly.
approved them
What-
at the beginning of the year, even
Yeah.
if we kept it the same. So I would
So-
think that would be something that would come
You should
with
get.
this.
You will get from now on. You'll get this again.
Okay.
A at the beginning of the year, the proposal, and then Form B, when they come here and present, you'll actually get a Form B with all of this. This is cleaning up years of even me being confused and all of us being confused. Yeah. Yeah, you'll get B. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you'll get
like on
everything.
this club, I would love to approve it, but it sounds like we don't know. We as a board, when we approve it, it approves to go into a particular, we're approving it to go
Category,
into
yeah.
a particular
So this-
category, and we don't have that.
That category is, so Carrie just looked it up, is category 5, which is 45 hours in the new contract, which is $1,800, which this year,
Per person?
No.
no, they split it.
Okay.
So,
Tried to give you a raise.
Yeah, we're clearly not doing it for
well,
the money.
I felt badly because of the misunderstanding, and you guys had voted on it the way it was, and I felt so badly reminding them that it's a new club, so they get half of the half. So yeah, like when I tell you they're doing this for peanuts right now, they're doing it for peanuts. So for next year, it would be $1,800, and they would split it.
And that's more than they thought when we got into this because
Yeah,
of the.
Sorry, what
yeah,
aligns
it's about
with,
100
like,
more.
level B? Originally, it was
1706 divided by 2, which was 1853, which then you split in two. They get $420. Yeah, 17 the original what it was. Yeah. It aligned. So it just
So how could we state this to approve it, just in alignment with the new?
so the wording I would use based on what we've been doing in the past is that so let's just say teachers need to establish Board of Education. Okay, based you did. Okay. Something and it's not even really like an upgrade, it's an alignment with the level, yeah, to create a new club or continue to because we created it, right?
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the Cromwell Middle School Unity Club's continuation
And the
with,
level
with the level
Group
5
yeah.
in accordance with the new contract? By Catherine,
Hold
second
on.
by Dipty. You have a question?
Yeah, I'm looking at the new contract, and unless I'm looking in the wrong area, the levels are identified by letter in the contract that goes into
Michelle
effect July
probably
1st.
just
That's the old one, I think.
did she
It's
No?
it says July 1st, 2023 through 2026.
Michelle maybe just didn't remember how you guys voted on it. I'm not sure if Michelle updated it on the website. Carrie just has it.
All right,
From our last
I'm
meeting.
looking at the addendum.
And
It's
it
the
It
could've-
last
might
few
just not be
pages.
online, I think
It's
is what
the
Dr.
stipend
Macri was
schedule.
saying.
You're
It's just
right.
not
Gotcha.
updated online.
It just may not be updated online.
I signed a different one recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just signed it. You
Okay.
voted on it last month. It just may not be updated. So in case you guys haven't noticed, we've been updating our, it's been a nightmare.
So level 5 would then be what used to be level D plus?
It would have equated to that, yes.
Okay,
It's
okay.
very similar.
Dipty seconded.
Oh, no, I don't think they need
Maybe
it.
you can email a copy to Matt later.
Yeah, or we can email. And we need to just, we will update everything. It's,
No.
it's trying to move the.
I know.
No.
Sorry, this is so awkward.
Yeah.
No,
It's
don't worry
so-
about it.
Because we're in the middle of updating the website, it doesn't help, and the fact that, we have two lovely people here who would be probably doing this for free, because they basically are. Exactly. Yeah. And this is all changed.
All right, so we had a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. The club's approved. Congratulations. Continue your great work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Since we're talking about clubs and updating the website, is there the possibility of adding like a list of clubs to the website or links to clubs where so we have information as parents as to what clubs are out there, when they meet? Because
Is it not
middle
out there somewhere?
schoolers are not great about sharing that information.
I could definitely talk to the principals on how we would do that because we have so much, you're right, going on. We would have, of all the clubs, yeah. It might take us about a year, but we'll get it done. Because right now we're just updating the job descriptions. They haven't been updated since probably before you were born, Jen. So we'll do that. All the there's just so much to do. Job descriptions are getting updated as we post them, and then we could update these. That's a good idea, actually, now that I thought about it. We are updating job descriptions for some of these clubs, so we could put the link to the job description somewhere where it's accessible so that they see what the kids actually do. That might be an idea. We'll talk about it.
Couldn't we have just the club advisors write a 2 to 3 sentence blurb?
Yeah, and put something. And then just update.
Yeah, I don't think we needed the website to say what the job description for the advisor is.
No, I'm saying taking the information out of there,
Okay.
of what they do. But you're right,
The club
it's just as
advisors
easy to
probably
have the
know
club
best,
advisor.
right? And then they could just funnel it to one person who could then.
Yeah, that's a better idea. All right, Carrie, you're on it, right?
Good suggestion. Thanks, Jen. Okay, so that is approved. I do want to go back to the Mental Health Awareness Club. I had to do some Googling. I do think we might need to vote on that table, on tabling that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, from my quick search, it's just safer to do it. So why don't we just go back and table it for more information, but it has to be at the next meeting, from what I, thanks. Wait, who was first? Matt was first. Lori second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And I'll look into that more so we know for next time. Okay. Moving on to the NEASC Final Collaborative Conference Visit Report Update. Reference C in your packets. And who is taking us through that? Dr. Macri or someone else?
Sorry, I was writing.
Oh, sorry, NEASC. We're moving on to NEASC.
Oh, yes, Mr. Kuckel.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kuckel, before you get started, can you tell everyone just where we are in the process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we just got the finalized report from the collaborative conference. That was in October. So now, from the feedback they gave us, we essentially go back and we update our school improvement plans and we update our action plans to address their recommendations, which we've already done, but we have to do it again just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. And really, next year is about moving in the right direction towards addressing the concerns that they gave us. So that way, we are prepared when they come back for the big visit. The big visit is technically the decennial visit, and that will happen in the fall of 2024. So we have essentially, upon the time that we finalize this report, we have about a year to make growth towards the recommendations that we have. And we are supremely confident that we will make growth because the big summary here with this report is it came back and it showed to us that our self-reflection was accurate. So when we sat down for a year and went through our stuff and looked in the mirror, essentially, to say, all right, where are we weak, where are we struggling, they agreed with what we identified. They agreed with everything you see here. So that is where we are in the process. And that big visit budgetarily will be a bigger ask next year because it costs more, they bring more people. The collaborative conference was only 5 adults that came. This one is 10. They stay overnight, multiple nights in a hotel. So there's a budgetary cost with just the visit itself, and this is the bigger cost. We'd be looking in excess of probably $15,000, $16,000 for the actual visit itself. So the good news, but on the other side of it, the visit was overwhelmingly positive. The feedback we got was overwhelmingly positive. On page 1 of that memo that I gave everybody, the foundational elements, there's no concerns with us as a district there. Those are essentially, they are the foundation of your building. If you don't have those, you really don't have a school. So that's a pass, not pass, essentially system. So we were clear on the foundational elements, which we knew that we were based on our self-reflection, but they did verify that. And in terms of the positive feedback, again, our relationships between staff and students, the students' accessibility to staff and support staff, the responsiveness that we have to our students and their ideas, these weren't surprising. If anything, it's nice when a visiting group comes in with a different lens to say, hey, you are doing these things right. The interventions that we have for students. So there was a lot of positive, and they pick 10 because, it's a number that they have to fill in, so many. And, we got those 10, positive feedbacks from them in terms of what we're doing, the variety of programs. And then in terms of the recommendations, as you look at that list, again, there's nothing here that is surprising to us. So, we knew that our students weren't taking risks. So now it's our job to go back to the drawing board and see how can we get our students to take more intellectual risks in the classroom. That's part of what we're going to do next year is plan solutions to that identified area of recommendation. Same with identifying and implementing Tier 1 instructional strategies to ensure that it's meeting the needs of all students. And again, that's something where we're going to have to collaborate as a group, and we have a plan to address all of these. And then really 3, 4, and 5 kind of fall into this concept of time, which we knew, was something that was with our teachers and feeling the crunch and not feeling like they had enough time to do what they had to do to meet student needs, to provide the necessary feedback. So we're designing a schedule, obviously, that can accommodate that. The PD schedule that was passed by the board absolutely helps with that as well in terms of those half days and those bigger chunks of time that staff needs. So the interesting thing is that this visit happened in October. So we've already done things since October that are actually addressing the concerns. Because what we submitted, we identified these areas of concern for ourselves, and we started to move forward on them anyways. And then when we got word back from NEASC, you know, it was obviously comforting for us, but we would already we're moving forward in our plans to solve the issues. Number 6 is just with the library and what we can do to better meet the needs of our students with the library services here. And 7 is a little bit out of our control as a school, but I know Dr. Macri is working with the town on that, and that is the capital improvement plan. That was a big glaring issue in the report in terms of a lack of a capital improvement and a building improvement plan. But we can't run on a building improvement plan until we have the district maintenance plan.
I have a question. In
Yep.
this context, what's the difference between a recommendation and a requirement?
So a recommendation is these are the areas that they think we should move forward on. So we are, you know, we're going to look at all those recommendations and we are going to make adjustments to address all of them. So really, we treat them the same. But there is, in terms of a requirement, the requirement are the foundational elements. So on that first page, those are the things you have to have. And if they came back, if we didn't have a written curriculum,
That's right.
they would say you can't. You know, your accreditation process now is in significant jeopardy because you know you don't have a school without a written curriculum.
So progress towards these
Yep.
recommendations would suffice.
Yes, it's like a scale. The way they do it now, it's nice. They, you know, you go from more or less does not meet expectations to you are, oh, they use a really fancy term. I'm drawing a blank on it, but you know, you are like transcending. You know, you're doing some big, high level stuff. So really, it's a matter of they rated us and they put us somewhere, and now it's are we making progress? So it's not that we have to go from, you know, a mid range all the way to the top, but we have to show progress towards that.
Change takes time, and in order to do everything, we had a lot to do in that area of curriculum. I've been talking about it for 4 years. You guys are sick of it, I'm sure. We have to show that we're making substantial growth, which we know that we're going to be because of all the work that we're doing. So in 10 years they come back and we didn't make any growth, then we're in big trouble. And that
Yeah.
did happen, I believe, next door, not with curriculum, but with space issues.
Yep.
But as long as we're making the growth, we are sharing the plan, we're making substantial growth, we're going in the right direction, we'll be okay.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Was it mostly interview based that they discovered these recommendations? Like how did they come about?
Great question. So what they did is they talked to a sample of, I'm sorry, so much feedback today. They talked to a sample, they talked to teachers, they talked to our staff, they talked to administration, central office administration. They talked to a selection of parents that we had. But then they also, and Board of Ed too. But then they also look at essentially a portal. So we uploaded a ton of information. So with every NEASC standard, we had to provide support and evidence for why we hit that. So that could have been, you know, it's curriculum documents, it's school improvement plans, it's parent advisory meetings, whatever it is that we have that we feel like we're hitting, we would upload that. So that's where a majority of the information is taken from. But then those interviews with students, with parents, staff, those all help paint a picture as well. So when you look at that first recommendation, one of the pieces that came into that, you know, is student feedback they get as well. You know, in students, in the fear of students to take a chance for fear of getting, you know, a bad grade.
That's what I was going to ask that too. What do you mean by intellectual risks? How could they take more risks? Like, what are they looking for?
So one thing we brainstormed is that we don't really have, and I'm not saying we're going to do this, I'm just going to give you an example, right? We don't have a universal retake policy where, let's say somebody had you know, most teachers do multiple revisions on papers, but that it could be something that simple where if a student know they could turn something in and it was an honest effort, and if they did poorly, they had a chance to do it again, then maybe what you would get in that first opportunity is something that was a little bit more, you know, taking a risk with that level. So like that's one example of something we could do potentially. But again, a lot of teachers do that in pockets, but, you know, is there a way we can do that, you know, more across the board?
So an example, because that's so hard, because you would automatically say, well, if the kid has 5 chances to master it, why would they do their best the first time? No, if the student has 5 times to master it, but the way they decide to master it, and the teacher says, take a chance, like do this project or do this or answer, you know, don't worry about getting it 100% right. write more. Don't necessarily write what you think the teacher is asking for. Write something that maybe the teacher would never even think of, that kind of was more open-ended and fits the description. We don't have those opportunities. Our kids are so focused on the grades that they get. And so they don't necessarily take intellectual risks because we may not provide them. I know they're always asking, is this being graded? What's my grade? What's my grade? And taking that piece away from it so that it's more about the learning.
And it's more, then that puts more on the teacher, though, to keep regrading and regrading.
Absolutely,
so I
yeah.
assume that's a lot harder for them.
And we brought this to, so the school leadership team right now is in the process of really kind of digesting this to come up with some solutions. NEASC as well, they run these fantastic webinars once a week, really good information where you get to find out best practices from other areas. So we're going to take a look into that and just see what information we can get from other schools that have found a way to do this and do it well. Because it's a cultural shift. We're looking to create a growth mindset with our students and for our students to challenge each other. But absolutely, the reality is GPAs exist. We still crown valedictorian, salutatorian, things like that. So those all impact. And it's trying to find, what are ways that we can still encourage risks and risk taking. Amongst our student body. So we're going to have to take a really close look. That's going to be a challenging one for us to try to figure out what's the best way to do it while still maintaining the academic integrity of the system.
Okay, Matt, you have a question?
More of a comment. I think in some places we've seen this done more as, instead of being focused on the end grade and the end result, it's more focused on the process, because if you take more risks during the process, and as you refine the process as a student, the grades come. So instead of saying I need to do this and this and this and this to get the A, it's more of a, what is the process you're using to get to the end point, to get to the end product. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it could look more like students could, early on in a project, they could identify an area of their own weakness or an area that they're not as strong in. For example, I might recognize that I have limited artistic ability. And so then the challenge for me during the course of that project would be to show improvement in my artistic inclusion of whatever the project is, and then that would kind of be figured in towards the grade in the end. So if I demonstrated growth in my artistic ability, which I had identified as a weakness, that would actually, my demonstration of improvement could actually increase my grade at the end with, because I demonstrated through the process that I had achieved something that was a challenge for me. Is that along those lines? So it's more, in the end, it tends to be more process focused as opposed to what's my grade at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing a good process and you're doing good revisions through the process, the grade comes anyway.
I just want to commend one teacher. This is one example of someone that did allow for risk taking, but the seal of biliteracy, I think, intimidated a lot of students, my son included. I hope he's not listening, but he was not interested in taking it. And somehow she found a way, let's wait till after SATs. And she encouraged them until a lot more did participate in it and I think did well. So just an example that might not have been captured.
Absolutely. And then, our priority areas, the good thing is those are the things that we've already been focusing on. And the recommendations that you see above, most of them fit into our priority areas and what we are doing, to make improvements along the way. And then in terms of just the building and facilities wise, what they do cite in the report are the obvious things. The fact that we don't have tennis courts, and those have been closed for some time. They do reference the weight room being in the former automotive shop and the equipment being outdated and things like that. They do reference Pearson Park and a lack of a real visitors bleachers. They mention some other things, but again, the town's been working on some of those improvements down at Pearson. But in terms of facility standpoint, because I know that people have been curious about that, those are some things that have been talked about as things in need, but they're not at the same time. Those would get addressed in whatever capital improvement plan.
And those would fall into recommendation, not requirement?
Recommendation,
Okay.
not requirement. Nope.
Any other questions?
So I know we kind of got a list through Kelly Maher, but as far as the athletic fields committees go, we're looking at making sure, because we want to make sure that as we're looking to improve the fields on our campus, we want to make sure that in that process we are meeting all the requirements of NEASC.
Yep.
If there's a way, if you get a chance in the next week or so, if you could either email me what their feedback was in that regard, including the Pearson Park and all that, or you know, if there's like a bulleted list or checklist of here's the things your facilities must have, if there's something like that available, that would be really helpful to that committee, because we, you know, as we
Sure.
move forward with those plans, we want to make sure that we're checking all those boxes.
Mhm.
Because we would hate to make changes to fields and improvements to fields that, you know, and have one thing that
We missed.
exactly,
Yep.
especially when it comes to accreditation.
But
Gotcha.
just to clarify, it's not going to remove our accreditation.
Nope.
It's just a
It's
recommendation.
recommendation.
Yep. Because we have one of the foundational elements, right? 6, which we passed. The school site and plant support the delivery of curriculum programs and services. So we have a building. It is up to code. And that's seriously what they look at. You know, it's up to code. It's a building that is, you know, serves the needs of the students, right? So we're good there. At the same time, they do reference and acknowledge areas of improvement.
Well,
But
the
we
idea
would
is that-
not lose accreditation for lack of, you know, if we didn't upgrade the weight room, if we didn't, you know, add tennis courts. You know, if you look at other school districts like Weathersfield, other places that have come up, right? You know, they've had to build new buildings, right, as a result of a NEASC report. Like that's not where we are at there. So we wouldn't lose accreditation, but we would get.
Well, and I'm also
cited.
thinking, you know, 10 years from now when we go through this process again, if they made recommendations to look at and improve this, and we haven't done anything in 10 years, like
Mhm.
if we could take care of it now in this process.
Yeah,
So
and
as-
through that, and that's where the once we have the capital improvement, and that's where I know we have the fields committee. There's a lot of stuff going on and all that, but I mean, from our school side, we need a capital improvement plan, right? That has a district improvement plan that then has a school one. So at least there's like, all right, you know, obviously I got fingers crossed for the fields committee. Don't get me wrong. I would love for everything to pan out there, and that would be great. You know, I think the tennis courts would probably be our biggest concern as a school if we didn't get those back, just because that impacts our delivery of curriculum for that class.
So it's up to you, but would it be okay with you if he provides that to Ms. Maher and then she brings it to that meeting? Is that the best way to do that, do you think? You
Yeah,
know,
that
any
would-
of
that'd be
those
fine.
items that might be important for their
Yep.
committee? Okay. I think it's really telling, though. The commendations are so student-focused, so I just love to see that they notice the positive relationships between staff
Yeah.
and students and everything they listed here, so.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
good. It was a nice visit, and we do look forward to them coming back in 2024.
All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, on to action item F, out-of-state field trips 2023-2024, reference D in your packets. Were there any questions? None. Jen?
I just didn't see the sixth grade field trip on here. I heard they're going to Quasi.
Well, this is out of state and
Oh,
for
out
next
of
year.
state. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But I think 7th grade might have already gone to the Bronx Zoo this year? Not yet, okay. May 23rd? I was just curious, and you might not know this, but I was wondering the participation rate, because it's obviously a more costly trip, and I'm wondering if we're, getting a good number of students. If you don't have that now, maybe you just want to share it after the trip. Mhm. Okay, great. All right. Any other questions? Looks like some great trips. Love seeing them happening again. Hopefully our busing issues remain at bay. Is there a motion to approve the out-of-state field trips? By Kelly, is there a second? Okay. Kelly Cloutier. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Out-of-state field trips are approved. Action item G is the Healthy Food Certification Lunch Program, reference E in your packet. And this, as you know, is just something we approve each year. So are there any questions?
I think, Ann, think you have to read it.
Oh, I do have to read
think
it?
I believe so, right, Ann? Doesn't she have to actually read it? Oh, just put in the notes. That's good enough now? Okay, because I remember last year she actually had to read it in order to get that grant. Okay.
Okay.
Just don't want to lose any money.
All right. So is there a motion? Matt, second by Catherine. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And the Healthy Food Certification Lunch Program is approved. And then we have our informational human resources personnel activity, reference F. Are there any questions on that? I know you mentioned the assistant principal at the middle school, that you have a lot of applicants. When was the closing date, and when do we expect to interview for that?
Ann, do you want? I think it was Friday, but I could have Ann. She knows it by heart. We had a lot of applicants for curriculum. Supervisor of special education too. I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
So we were really happy about that.
Hello, everyone. The closing date for the AP position is May 12th. The interviews are ready to begin May 17th as first rounds, and then look to May 22nd as second rounds.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. And will you need board members for that?
I have
We just went ahead. Is that okay?
Oh,
Kelly.
sure.
Kelly, I asked because
You
she's kind of
volunteered?
our
Okay.
trifecta: parent, PTO, and Board of Ed.
Okay. And you'll be at both? Okay, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank
What-
you.
Ann asked me. I said sure because of the trifecta thing. I was
Mhm.
like sure, but then I forgot to ask you. I'm sorry.
No, normally it goes out and whoever's available
Oh, sorry.
steps up, but no, I'm happy to have you join those meetings. Alan, did you have a question?
In terms of resignations and notices, I mean, you had 170 applicants or so for, how do we know that there's not a significant number of people in Cromwell got applications out? When do we know if,
So how many people from Cromwell?
well, I'm saying that, we
Apply.
got a lot of people applying for jobs here, but,
Mhm.
we're talking about getting employees. Do we have any sense of how many might be looking, is basically the question.
Not at this point. No, it could happen from. It could. I mean, with the way education is now, you used to at least wait till the end of the year, but people don't even wait if something opens. We have we know exactly who's leaving right up. We hold people for 30 days too, right up until August now. It could go at any time because of the shortage areas, but as of now, Michelle didn't get any more resignations or retirements, which is a good thing.
Okay.
But over the summer,
So when other school districts make their decision, that could,
right, like now we have all these jobs posting, so right where everyone's starting to post around now, because we want to get the students who are coming out of college. But some of these so urban district is very different than a suburban district. We, in Cromwell, have told our students who they're getting for the teacher in their incoming year before they leave. They get to meet their teacher, all of that. Urban districts, there's so much transiency that you don't know. They may not post positions sometimes until the beginning of August, because they may get an influx of 20 to 30 kids, and they may post a position, and then we can have people applying for those positions. So it varies based on the kind of district that you are. We've seen more change than ever just because of the shortage. But we don't anticipate a lot of change. Our contract is really good. I believe our culture and climate is good. It's never perfect. We can always work on it improving. But I think we're in a really good place, and I don't anticipate a lot of people leaving. Well, some, yeah, just natural, yeah.
Sure, Dipti.
For the assistant principal position, did you get any internal applicants?
Yes, we did.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure I'm seeing ECS. Sorry, I'm going ahead. I was on principal reports. Sorry about that.
I'm like, what do you mean?
All right, so were there any other questions about the human resource personnel activity?
Just,
Matt?
didn't we have special ed supervisor on there?
Oh, yeah, that's the one I just mentioned. I think we had 25, around 20 applicants, yeah, which is a lot for that position.
Right, but I don't see it listed here.
Oh, It's not there?
I was hopeful it was filled, is what I'm getting at.
No, it's not filled yet. No, it's just posted. It is missing. Yeah, wow. Oh, I love when Mr. Morrow makes a mistake because it doesn't happen all that often. Can't wait to tell her. Under
Special ed?
vacancies, the special education supervisor position is missing. And then poor Mr. Morrow's not here to defend herself. She rarely makes mistakes, so I get to tell her tomorrow. She missed one. I'll tell her you figured it out. Okay. She'll be happy.
All right, are we all set on that? Okay. And then we'll move on to the principal reports. Reference G, H, I, and J. I did locate the ECS, which was just turned the other direction. So I am all set. Were there any questions? Matt?
I'm sorry. I want to make sure I understand. Under CMS, looking at number of students suspended in school and out of school, 6 and 2, so that's 8, but then it shows that there was only 4 student referrals. Wouldn't there have to be a referral for a student to wind up getting suspended?
Technically,
I mean, isn't that just seems procedural?
procedurally, I would say it makes sense, but if it's something that egregious,
Okay. I mean, I guess
then
that's where I'm looking for the
they get involved
clarification.
immediately and investigate it. We skip that just because it's so egregious and you see it on camera and you know what happened and
I don't know offhand what's in our handbook as far as procedures go in that case, but
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't want someone to come back and say you inappropriately suspended my child. They weren't even written up for the referral.
yeah, no,
That's all.
egregious behavior you don't have to worry about write-ups really. It's
Referral implies to the office, but you're saying if it were handled in a
Right. If,
different
let's say
way. Yeah.
a teacher calls the principal and says, "This is happening right now in my classroom. Get down here. I'm in the middle of teaching. This is happening. It's egregious enough." The principal shows up. There's no need to write it up. The principal shows up, takes care of it, takes control, takes over.
So can I mean, I don't need this answer now, but maybe at a future meeting, maybe we can get an update of what the general offenses for these suspensions and referrals are. Like, are these physical altercations? Are they things being said? Are they, I don't want names or anything attached. I'm just asking, can we get like even a generic list of, hey, here's where the majority of our referrals are coming from?
I feel like that could be identifiable, though.
I'm not sure
we can do that.
That's what I'm thinking. There's
Well, to say, okay, we had 10 referrals, and a handful were physical altercations, a handful were inappropriate statements. One was 1 or 2 were vaping. Like, that's generic.
Does it
enough
matter
that
to
that's
us,
not
though,
identified.
as a board? I'm just
I
curious.
think just out of curiosity to know where our trouble spots are.
I just
because it
worry
helps
about
us kind of focus.
I do worry about being identifiable just because we have a few
I think that's
kids.
more for the administration.
But to address your point, I'd be afraid of the identifying piece and more people talking about, but the behavior to get a suspension, it's got to be pretty egregious at the middle school. Yeah, I would be uncomfortable with. I have a good idea. We have our policy. Is it 6162? I think. I think that's it. Don't mark my words. That tells you suspensionable offenses, and there's a list of them that gives you an idea of why we would suspend a student. And I think we're very fair in the way we choose to suspend students. And listen, I'm sure not everybody agrees, but how we choose to. I think we could talk about that a little bit more instead of saying this month. Most of them fell under
I'm not
this.
necessarily saying month by month. I'm saying, like, at the end of the school year, saying, hey,
Yeah, I don't think at the end of the school year it would matter.
here's where we saw
Sure, let me remind myself.
Yeah, just something like that. So
does
like,
anyone other than Matt want that to be shared at the end of the year? I just want to see if we have a number of us that like to have that on the agenda. Anyone?
Well, I guess the end goal is if we discover that we're having, for example, the majority of the offenses involved, cheating on assessments or something like that, then, to know how are we addressing that? Or what is our plan moving forward to address that? That's all.
So if you look at our district improvement plan or under school climate, we use that data to write those goals. So our district improvement plan and all our school improvement plans, that's exactly the data they use to write their goals.
Then that absolutely satisfies my curiosity.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions on those reports?
I have one.
Okay.
At the high school, they did a secure, sorry. There we go. They did a secure school on April 4th, twice.
Yes.
It was a drill, or was it? Okay, thank you.
Remember, we had to secure the school for many different reasons.
I
Yeah.
didn't, it was listed as drill, and that made me think
Yeah.
it was a drill and not real.
Yeah. So it was real,
Okay.
but it's not, there's all different levels of reasons why we would secure the school. Like, just don't leave your rooms, because it could be something that's happening with a group of a physical altercation. It could be something that's happening with one student. It could be a health condition. There's many different reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean, God forbid, something, awful is happening that we're afraid of, that's a risk to the entire school population. It's just trying to keep people out of the way so we can get people help in, perhaps.
Yeah, that's not a lockdown.
It's not
No,
a-
it's the drill is what made me think.
Oh,
We
think
think
that-
fire
yeah.
drill versus.
Yeah.
So I
That's
thought,
probably
I
just an
was like,
accident.
are we practicing this twice in one
No,
day?
no. We do very well. No, sorry, we have to get rid of the word drill.
Okay, moving on to policies. These are all up for first read. Were there any questions on any of them at this point? I did have one. Just item F, under the physical activity, undirected play, and student discipline series. I just was curious why it didn't include harm to self, because, let me get to that one, hold on. No, it was about restricting recess. Mm-hmm. It's proposed reference P. So if you're on the second page of it, it says physical exercise period, and there are a couple of reasons listed. It says when a student poses a danger to the health or safety of other students or school personnel. Oh, sorry. P, yep, page 2 of P, under item A, number 1.
It's Chipman's recommendation, but I can ask why that isn't there.
Wait, are you asking why it's not to self?
Yes.
Because don't we have a different policy for that?
No, so like if you're a harm to yourself or others, I get what Selena's saying, like why, if you're a harm to yourself, why would that not be a reason to not?
There are times at recess when kids could run into a road or,
Right,
you know,
you could
do
be-
things that could hurt themselves. So I just thought,
I think we would have to prove that through, if we were going to do that and it's to yourself, right? Inflicting, we might have to prove that
or just
through-
being extremely unsafe, jumping
Yeah.
off a playscape. You know what I mean?
We might have to give, we might have to provide scaffolding support in that area. But let me ask Jess when I talk to her the next time, because this is their model policy, and it's not in there. So that's actually a question.
But they don't do recess duty.
Yeah.
The lawyers.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, but they write the legislation, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, so I mean, that would just be interesting, and we can go back and actually look at the
Yeah, it was just a
legislation.
question.
But my
Really don't
point
know
was, I
why.
thought we had a harm to self policy that was all
That covers
inclusive
it.
for the school day.
Oh, yeah, if you're a
That's
harm to
where I
yourself
thought that
or
fell
others,
underneath.
You could, there could be so many other things that can happen. Yeah,
Okay.
and that, you're right, because we would do a risk.
Okay.
The whole day.
Is that the risk? Well, we have so many. And actually, that's included in a risk assessment, too. I just thought of that. If you're harm to yourself, if harm to self, we would conduct a risk assessment and make determination if we have to support. Yeah, about everything. Yeah, yes, you're right.
Okay. Any other questions on policies A through F? All right, so these will all move to second read at our next meeting. And you'll follow up on that. Just one question.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'll ask her when I talk to her.
Board committee reports. Policy committee, reference Q. I'm sorry, Lisa? Oh, we need to vote, right. Okay. Is there a motion to move items, policies A through F forward to a second read? I saw Alan and then Matt. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. That will move to second read at our next meeting. All right. Policy committee, reference Q. And it's just the minutes. Is there, do we need to approve them? I don't think we need, do we need to approve them?
No,
You approve them at your meeting, right? Okay. So that's just information for us. And then this evening we had facilities and technology. We met tonight at 6, and Matt's going to give an update on that.
Sure. Yep, we met tonight. There was a number of things on the agenda. We talked about the operations tracker projects. We talked about the HVAC grant update. There is a grant out there that could help pay up to 50% of HVAC improvements. There are a lot of, we discussed that there's a lot of hoops to jump through to even just apply, and most of those hoops are on fire. But we, you know, we're gonna take a look at it, I think. And
It got tabled tonight.
What's that?
From Melinda about
Oh, it
one
did?
of, in order to apply for this, we need a facility study to be conducted. Tonight, that's where Linda St. John was at the town council meeting, and I just looked at her like, and she said no. So without even that facility
So we
study,
couldn't- we
we
can't
can't
even
even
start without
think
that.
about applying for this.
All right, so it looks like that will probably not move forward at this point unless something changes.
Wait, they tabled it or they voted it down?
They did. Okay.
Do you want to elaborate or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So not yet.
For anyone
All right.
interested, it's
So-
on YouTube.
Yeah, so with regards to that HVAC grant, it could bring the town 50% of HVAC repairs, but we can't even start to do it without that study. So we would need some support from the town council on that side to be able to pursue it. What else do we have here? There was an update on the irrigation. There's a valve that needs to be done. There was one quote. We're waiting for another quote that there's a feeling may come in a little bit lower. Once that happens, the lower quote will be taken, or the better option will be taken, I guess, and that'll move forward. And otherwise, the 5-year capital, we're waiting for the next meeting to be scheduled on that. Otherwise, it remains in process. And the Gordian Facilities Assessment, we discussed that briefly, and that was tabled because we were waiting for the outcome of the town council meeting, which was, they tabled it there. So a lot of these things are just kind of moving forward, or at least stagnant until they can move forward.
They're on the agenda.
They're on the
we can say.
agenda.
So the irrigation, I thought last we talked about it, there was one quote, but was it requested
No,
that we get a second
This
quote?
is actually
no.
a separate. There's like
It's
one,
a valve, right?
It's one separate valve.
Oh.
Melinda, come on up and explain. It's the valve, and I think it was about 4,000 something, and then
It's-
Spina's looking into.
It's for the pump, am I on?
Yeah.
Yes,
you're on.
okay, I'm sorry. For the pump at the high school, $4,800 for the installation piece. And we've been trying to get a W-9 from the company that gave us the quote for it. And we've been having trouble getting that. So Lou Spina actually went and pursued another company who we're meeting with tomorrow. Because we need to get it going, and we're not getting answers. So we're going to the next level, and it may cost us a little bit less, maybe.
Okay.
So that's what we're going for.
Thank you. All
So in the meantime, if we don't have irrigation soon, it's not our fault. We're doing the best we can. I'm just worried about these fields right now. It's dry. I literally said we will get the fire truck and we'll all take turns driving it, and we'll go and hose them.
I called Dips first.
I'll
Why not?
drive. No,
What,
you
just-
drive. I'll do the.
Let's just,
You
from
have
now
it.
on,
You drive the truck.
yeah, from now on, recess is water balloon fights.
The high schoolers would love recess.
All right, any topics for future agendas? No? Okay. Comments, updates, and announcements from board members and administrators. We'll start with Kelly.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the educators and everyone, all of the staff that works across the district. I know it's Teacher Appreciation Week, but it's a really good opportunity just to say thank you. And everything you guys do is super, super appreciated. And then ECS and WIS PTO is putting on Family Fun Night this Friday. Wristbands are available at the door. I would encourage everyone to come out and support that event.
Thank you. All right, Dipti. Kelly. Catherine? No. Okay, Lori? Jen? Alan? Matt? No? Okay. All right. Well, yes, on behalf of the board, we definitely appreciate all of our staff. So I hope everyone had a nice treat from our PTOs and our parents. So thank you very much. And meeting is adjourned at 8:36. Have a good night. Not for that.